Welcome to Market Matters. I'm Nadia Hassan together with Sulhi Azman and Jonathan Gan, where we give you a look at how the market's doing. And of course, today it's going sideways.
That's true, Nadia. So looking at the situation, things aren't going too good. But I mean,
your very stance tells me that you're not interested in today.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
it's tough, right? It's tough. Yeah. It's tough. But I think Suhi's been watching it all day and he gives a better picture for us.
Yeah, well, the market continues to be attacked today, guys. It is still below 1,600 points. You know, this is despite we are in the month of September, which, by the way, guys, is supposed to be a prelude to a spring. Now, today the market closed 19 points lower at 1,590 points. It didn't sustain yesterday's bounce, which was at 1,600 points. Now, Malaysian ringgit fell the most in a week, and as bond dropped, as the slump in Brent crude oil prices clouds the outlook for government finances in the oil exporting nations. If you mentioned earlier, we talked about the PMI. The global PMI continued to weigh down. China's PMI is 50 points below.
Yeah. So yesterday, right, we were watching the markets yesterday. It actually had a very positive move for it. But it didn't sustain mostly because it caught up with the rest of the world, didn't it?
Yes, it was. I mean, there's many other factors as well. You know, we have OPECs going on, where some are thinking people are really
cut production, too much. Right?
Cut production.
Okay, that's an interpretation. We had this thing yesterday where we were looking there and thinking, are they indicating or are they not? They're playing very coy.
Well, that's OPEC's role actually. Every time they say something, it's like the market jumps. You know?
Yeah, for good or bad reason. What else happened regionally?
Okay, and today, you know, if you look in the country today, right, you know, last Friday marks the end of the result season in the second quarter. Now, research houses have a mixed view on this, and for example, you know, Hong Leong says it's a washout quarter. For instance, Kenanga says a quarter far from exciting, and CIMB says the results are not great but disastrous. The word used disastrous either.
Yeah, but the funny thing about that was I read that report and they were saying 1,700 by year end. Doable?
That's a big question.
That's
really,
a big question. I mean, what can drive it?
Are our analysts being a little bit too optimistic, you think, at this point in time?
Big question.
Yeah, it's a big question, guys. No, you know, TA research says weak earnings. A weak earning momentum, but earnings are within expectations. You know, overall, I think the results are a bit too shabby, and we still have a lot of things to look forward in the next two quarters, really, third quarters and fourth quarters coming up.
Let's see how that goes.
That is how it goes. Yes, correct.
Thanks a lot for that, Sulhi. And moving on to our hot stock of the day, we're looking at what was the top gainer today. Basically, VS Industry up about 6.41%, 1.2 million shares. Not that bad going for them. But funny thing is, I didn't see any catalyst for them.
Well, Nadia, I'm reading the news on VS Industries, and actually several days back on the 27th of August, Datuk Gan has actually made a public announcement during the EGM saying that 90% of the company's products are actually exported overseas, and 30% of those products are actually exported to the US.
So actually, is that what explained that magnificent jump for their last quarter? 500%. 500% in terms of net profit.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their current revenue. It's at 82% as of compared to last year's earnings, meaning to say that it looks to be it will actually surpass expectations this year. So
the thing is, right, we were looking at this and we were discussing this a bit earlier. You actually really did like some of this company, although industrial is never your cup of tea.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at VS. It brings a very strong portfolio as it's on the list of top 50 electronic manufacturing services providers for the last 7 consecutive years.
It hinges a lot on the US, John.
Oh, speaking about that, we have 3.7% GDP coming from the US, and that itself is a solid figure.
Yeah, you're sold on the story.
Definitely.
Well, the thing about the US, right, and here's my reservation when it comes to it, you saw how fast the ringgit actually dropped. That kind of degradation, that kind of drop can come so rapidly, it can make your head spin. I mean, come on, in the US, who knows, a few years from now, Kanye West might be president. So who knows what kind of change.
That is a terrifying thought.
That's a terrifying thought, but it's a change. And you cannot put much faith when you say that, look at this and go like, okay, you're counting on this one market. Is it good enough?
But I think in terms of longer term, when Kanye becomes president,
I hope he doesn't become president. Kanye or Donald Trump, seriously, no.
That would be worrying, but as of now, the quarter seems good for VS Industries.
Well, that's an interesting way of actually looking at it. But yeah, bringing it back to it, yes, good USD, but for me, things can change.
Well, we'll just have to look forward to that and see how it goes then.